Hey Tamers, what is up? It is your boy Red coming with you today. Our first place championship build, Store Championship 1, WarGreymon, updated for BT10. Now I currently have a Store Championship build with BT9 WarGreymon, and this isn't entirely too much different than that. So instead of doing a full deck profile, I thought I would talk about the different ways you can build WarGreymon decks in BT10. We'll go over our options and the various ones that I've tested, and at the end I'll show you guys what my final deck list was and what I played. We'll kind of go into the things that you can do for your store championships and your games coming up for the BT10 meta. So let's just get right into it. Starting with our level 2s, I would say the go-to eggs could be BT5 Koromon and BT9 Koromon. Now, depending on what you're playing, I usually actually prefer this new BT9 Koromon. I'm much more of a red WarGreymon player than black, so I like having the extra 1000 DP because with our playstyle, we are generally attacking through all their security at once, and we don't want anything to kill us, so getting as high as close as possible to 17k so nothing gets in our way is really important, and that 1000 can make a difference. Alternatively, though, if we're playing more of a black base, we'll be doing a lot more attacks than just one big attack. BT5 Koromon has some advantages to it, allowing a draw +1 if this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, giving us a little bit more draw power since Black WarGreymon can be a little bit more drawn out of a game. You could even run both in a Black War build, but if we're just doing a red base build, I would probably go for just the BT9 Koromon. Now for your level 3s, no matter what kind of build you're playing, you're probably wanting to run Promo Agumon if you've got it. This is the end-all be-all best level 3 for a Greymon build. While this Digimon has Greymon in its name plus 2000 DP on our turn, that's a huge DP boost. All we have to do is have Greymon in its name, which is easy enough to hit. And no matter whether you're going through security or you're attacking at a Digimon, you're getting that plus 2000. Card you can alternatively go for, of course, there is the original Star Deck Agumon for it to get plus 1000 DP. We could go with the second Starter Deck Agumon that gives, when attacking, plus 2000 DP if we're attacking into security. A lot better for red builds where we're generally attacking for security anyways, but if we're playing Black War, we'll be doing a lot more attacking into Digimon, and this one has a lot more advantages for that, because it can get to 2000 as opposed to the other one. Definitely want to pair that up with a searcher of some kind. Our options are, of course, we have the BT5 Agumon, reveal top 3 cards and add 1 Digimon card with Greymon in its name and 1 card with Omnimon in its name. I do like this one a lot for red build, because hitting the WarGreymon, of course, is important, and then we need the Omnimon for Omni Blitz. And if we're playing something a little bit more black base, this black Agumon searcher can be a little bit better in that regards. It is search top 4 cards of the deck. So we get one more search, and we grab anything that's Dragonkin and anything that's Greymon in its name. So we lose the Omnimon search, but you get one more card to pick from, and you could pick up 2 of your smaller pieces before the level 7. So our WarGreymons count as Dragonkin. If we're running any other Dragonkin cards, we can pick those up in addition to a Greymon or a MetalGreymon. So this one could pick up a few more early pieces. This one could pick up a few more late game pieces. So it just kind of depends on what you're wanting to do. If you're running Black War base, of course, you could run both of these and just kind of play whichever one you like more. That is what I did in BT8. I played both of those. But now we do have a little bit better of an option to go with that. We have now Agumon X Antibody. So it can digivolve on top of any Agumon for 0. Both on play or when digivolving, reveal top 3 cards, and we can add 1 Greymon or Omnimon and 1 X Antibody card among them to our hand. So if we're running the WarGreymon base, we're definitely running X Antibody, so this can pick up that option card. It can also, again, pick up Greymon or Omnimon, so whether we play this Agumon or this Agumon, we can follow up by evolving for 0. We get the draw for evolve, and then we can do the search. So doing the combo, regardless of which one you put it on, is a really good way to get that extra draw power. An alternative level 3 you might run if you're running Black War is the Tapirmon. Tapirmon is a black level 3 that can evolve on top of black or red eggs, and if this Digimon has 2 or more colors, it gets plus 1000 DP. and it's all turns effect, so it's really good with Black War. It'll give him plus 1000 while he's a blocker, and then also plus 1000 while he's attacking. So it's a pretty nice, good all-around companion card to go with the black-red builds. This also has really good synergy with the Tamer coming up that we'll talk about. Now moving into our level 4s, if you're running red build, you absolutely want to get a security +1 Greymon. I run these at 4. When we're running red, getting through as much security as possible is our end-all, be-all, and really our only goal. So we want to get stacked up security +5, security +6. We just want to blitz through all of that. And this one gives us a generic +1, no matter the situation, which is really solid. Now, you can still run this in black base, of course, but if you are running black base, in addition to that, you definitely really want the BT8 Black Greymon. It's inheritable on opponent's turn. While you have a red Digimon in play, this Digimon gains blocker. So Black War is a bit slower than red Greymon. With Black War, we are swinging into our opponent's Digimon, deleting them, unsuspending ourselves. Because of that, having the ability to block is really important. We kind of go into a little bit more when we get to Black War why, but this allows us to play a little bit more of attack and defense at the same time, where the Greymon is definitely just all-out offense. Companion cards that can go with either one of those, of course. We have the BT5 Greymon. When Digivolving, if this Digimon has Agumon in its Digivolution cards, gain 1 memory. Important, that has to be exactly Agumon. This will not work with Agumon X, but if you have Agumon, then Agumon X, and then this Greymon, it still works because you still have that Agumon at the bottom. Then it's inheritable, gives plus 2000 DP to our Greymon, so this will be good for both red base and black base. On top of any of these, of course, we can evolve into Greymon X. I run these in both builds just because of its generically good inheritables. So it can go on top of any Greymon for 0, and then all turns, while this Digimon has Omnimon or Greymon in its name, if an effect would delete it or bounce it to hand or deck, we can remove 2 same level sources to prevent that effect. So it allows us to keep our big boys on board right now. The only thing that's really stopping us is Chaos Degradation, so be aware of your purple-yellow decks. And then 2 more cards you could run for a black base. You could run Cyclomon. This is a Dragonkin, so it can pick up on that Agumon Black Search. And then it has a when attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 2000 DP or less. So it pairs up really well with a Black War. We can swing into security, trigger that proc to delete something, which will cost a Black War to unsuspend, which is pretty nice. And it's a dual color card, so it'll work with a Tapirmon, as well as some Tamers coming up. And then if you got the funds for it, you could go in for a Deltamon. Deltamon is pretty nice with the Black War build. Black War tends to be a very expensive memory-wise deck to run. When this Digimon would Digivolve into a card with 2 colors or composite in its traits, you may reduce the Digivolution cost by 2, which is really good. It's inheritable when attacking. For each of this Digimon's colors, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. So Deltamon on a Black War thing is deleting 2 small bodies when attacking, which can be really strong in certain matchups, especially if you're playing against like smaller builds. And then being able to go into our level 5s for 2 less. With Black War, your level 5s tend to be 4 memory costs, and we evolve for 2 instead can be really nice, and this can pair up wonderfully with memory reducing Tamers. The only downside, of course, is that his Evo is 3 for a level 4, which is a little on the high end, but you're adding +1 here to reduce 2 later. It's still a overall gain positive. Deltamon can be a little pricey though, so it kind of just depends on what your budget is. Now for our level 5s, and this is where the real spice comes in, right? For our red base, I say you absolutely run EX1 MetalGreymon. When this Digimon attacks a player, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. If we really need to start clearing some early bodies sooner. You can pair this up with the X Antibody option card to have it get that one attacking effect, and then Digivolve into MetalGreymon X to get another security tech +1 and 3000 DP. So that's a really nice combo to be able to safely swing, check a chunk of security, and delete a body on board if you need to. But most importantly, its inheritable is when this Digimon has Machine or Dragonkin in its traits, it gains Piercing. So when we go and swing for 5 security, it doesn't matter if we're playing against a build that has blockers, we're still going through it anyways. Blue pending, because blue can kind of get around the Piercing. If you're running black base, you absolutely run BT8 MetalGreymon. Now, you can definitely still run this in red base, but I do strongly recommend the piercing for running red WarGreymon. Getting through all that security as fast as possible is our main goal, whereas Black War, keeping field control is more important. Now, you can still run this with Black War. It can go on top of black Digimon, so it can go on top of the black Greymons. But having the ability to swing into unsuspended Digimon is much stronger for a Black War build, and vice versa. And I used to run this as the second 5 for Black War, but now per BT10, we got some other options, and I'll go over that in a minute. But his main effect, right? So when Digivolving, he Digivolves for 4, so that's where the Deltamon can kind of help us out here. De-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon and delete a Digimon 3000 DP or less. So they're both good for clearing smaller bodies, just this one can clear a little bit of a bigger body. And it's inheritable. While this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machine in its traits, it can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. These two make a wonderful pair if you're playing a Machine build. But for Dragonkin, we're only going to pick one of them. Going on top of either of those, we can also play MetalGreymon Alterous Mode. This can Digivolve 0 from MetalGreymon and also counts as a MetalGreymon. And while you have a Tamer in play, when Digivolving, delete a Digimon with 5000 DP or less, and we're just slowly increasing those thresholds for deletion. And then as inheritable, it's the same as Greymon X, when a effect would remove this card from play, either to hand or deck, or by deletion. You can discard 2 same level sources to prevent that effect. It goes really nice with the Greymon X if we're trying to keep a big body on board. On top of all 3 of these, you can play MetalGreymon X. Digivolves 0 from MetalGreymon. This Digimon gains Security Attack +1, and if it's on top of a MetalGreymon or has X antibody in its stack, it gains plus 3000 DP until the end of the opponent's next turn. So this goes good with WarGreymon for surviving our checks. Adding plus 3000 is a huge deal. And then because it lasts until the end of opponent's next turn, if you're running a defensive Black War build, now you have 3+K on a blocker, which is really good. Alternatively for the Black War, especially with the Cross Wars matchups now with Shoutmon and Blue Flare, we now are going to be running MegaDramon. So this is another dual color card, 4 cost to evolve, but it's great for board control against Tamer heavy decks. When Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers with a play cost of 3 or less, and then when attacking, if this Digimon has Machine or Dragonkin in its traits, delete one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers with a play cost of 3 or less. Now, when attacking is not once per turn. So while we're attacking with Black War, if we are also able to delete one of our opponent's Digimon, we can unsuspend, swing again, delete another Tamer. So against Shoutmon-like builds where they have a lot of lower K bodies, we're able to more consistently delete their Digimon, proc our unsuspend effects, and delete their Tamers, preventing them from having as much materials to Digicross from. So this can be a real good way to stunt Tamer heavy builds, whether you're playing against hybrids or Shoutmons. And again, Deltamon will reduce this cost to 2, really helping mitigate that cost. So it's more of a 3 overall average, bringing them back down to more standard level 5 evolves. Now for the Hero of the Hour, my WarGreymon of choice, I am running WarGreymon BT1. Still reigning supreme as the best WarGreymon of all WarGreymons. Evolve for 3. When this Digimon Digivolves, gains Security Attack +1. And on your turn, this Digimon doesn't activate security skills of option cards it checks. So this makes WarGreymon one of the safest cards in the game to check security with. With all the DP racings we have, we won't be swinging at 16, 17, 18, however many K, checking all 5 security preferably. No option cards will stop it. No Digimon will be high enough to kill it. At that point, the only thing that's really stopping you is a few black cards in the game that can get around it. Alphamon can still target you if you hit insecurity, as well as Shikurimon can de-Digivolve you. Aside from those few things, you're sitting pretty good. Now, I run this in my red base. This is my main go-to here, but because how generically good he is, you can put him as a one-of in a Black War build, and it would still work really good. Able to get some last-minute surprise aggression on a check. If you're on red base though, my go-to to go with him is WarGreymon X antibody. So Digivolves 1 from WarGreymon. All turns, when a card is removed from your opponent's security attack, gain 1 memory. So after we're checking 5 security, we're gaining 5 memory. So whatever memory we spent going into WarGreymon X, we're recovering all of that instantly, allowing us still to continue our turn. with plenty of wiggle room. And then end of attack, once per turn, if WarGreymon or X Antibody are in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon whose DP is less than or equal to this Digimon. And with all those DP raises, that's pretty much just a Gaia Force. We are deleting any Digimon we want with WarGreymon X's ability. So for whatever reason, we're not winning game. We are for sure clearing through all that security, gaining 4 or 5 memory, deleting any Digimon we want, and we're sitting pretty for whatever our next turn is going to be if we're not winning that turn. But if we're running black base, our boss monster is probably going to be looking more like Black WarGreymon. Digivolve for 4 from a red or black. When Digivolving, if this Digimon has red Digivolution cards in its traits, you can target Digimon. If it has black, you target Tamers. Delete any combination whose play cost total add up to 6. So if we're playing against Digimon wide boards, we're going to be deleting a lot of your rookies, maybe a level 4, maybe even a level 5. If it's a cheap enough level 5, that's really nice. But most importantly, we're deleting Tamers. So for dual color builds, like to run Chaos Degradation, we can hopefully remove one of those colors by deleting those Tamers. For hybrid and Shoutmon type builds, we're deleting their whole source of gameplay right there. You delete the Tamers, that's 2 Shoutmon Tamers right there. And if they have those sources underneath those Tamers, those sources are gone too, and they won't be able to pull from them. All turns, when opponent's Digimon is deleted, unsuspend this Digimon. So whether you're attacking or you're defending, you're getting 2 swings out of black, which is really nice. We can use the MetalGreymon to swing into unsuspended Digimon to swing over a Digimon and then also still swing into security if we want, or we can get rid of 2 Digimon. Or we can get rid of 1 Digimon, stay unsuspended, go into their next turn. If they swing, we block, trigger the unsuspend again since it's all turns, and he'll be ready to block a second attack. So Black WarGreymon can easily be a double attacker or a double blocker or a 1-in-1 depending on how we want to break it down. It's a wonderful mix of both attack and aggression, especially in this type of meta where everything can kind of go one-sided very fast. Black War gives us a lot of opportunities to have some interaction on our opponent's turn, which I really like. If we want to get a little bit more aggressive, we can go into Agumon. Now, I won't always say go into Agumon. Sometimes it is better to stay on the Black War, but Agumon definitely has some nice, hard aggression with it. Digivolve 2 from Black WarGreymon. This Digimon is also treated as having Greymon in its name. As Security Attack +1 and Reboot. If this Digimon has black Digivolution cards, Digivolve 1 on the board. And then if it has red Digivolution cards, Blitz. And since we're preferably going on top of Black WarGreymon, it will definitely have those. So, reasons I like this and don't like this compared to Black War. Black War has the unsuspend ability, so you can choose to swing into a Digimon and then swing into security. Of course, he can also block twice. So Black WarGreymon is a little bit more versatile. But if you're swinging into security, unless you have those when attacking effects to proc, he's not getting the extra security +1. Now, Agumon can also do the dual thing, but in a little bit different way. He doesn't have the unsuspend, but he does have the security +1. So we do have to choose whether we want to swing into unsuspended Digimon or if we want to get these 2 checks, two minimum checks, depending on what other security +1s we have. So Agumon can be a real good way to just blitz through security really fast. But we won't be clearing through board as much. But he does have the reboot, allowing us to restand on the board. So where we lose the ability to both attack security and Digimon on our turn, we now gain the ability to go through a bit more security, but then still restand with a blocker inheritable. So it's still aggressive and still defensive, but in a different way, and depending on the board state and what kind of field you're playing into, you're going to prefer one or the other. I find I do definitely prefer Black War early game, and I'll go into Agumon if I have the option late game to just maybe chip through that last security that's keeping me from Omni for game. And then because it has the Blitz effect, I won't run X Antibody in a Black War build typically. X Antibody is good for when attacking Digivolving. In the case of like WarGreymon X, you can evolve for 3. When it start attacking, evolve for 1. This will pass 1 to your opponent's gauge, but then you gain the memory back, which is a real nice combo. But for Black War and Agumon, because he has the Blitz, you won't really need that when attacking evolve effect, because it's the same end result, but 1 more card takes up in your deck, so it's just really not that useful. For the level 7s, the generic level 7 to go to in all builds is Agumon from BT5. When Digivolving Blitz, when Digivolving unsuspend. So after we're done attacking with our Digimon, if they have no security left, we can evolve into Omnimon. He will unsuspend, memory gauge passes to our opponent's turn, and he blitz swings for a game. We all know the famous lovable combo. But if we're not swinging for game, there are some other versatilities for it. All turns, if an opponent's effect would bounce it to hand or deck or delete, Omnimon may discard a level 6 from his sources to prevent that effect, and we probably have 1 or 2 level 6s underneath him, which is pretty nice. So he has a lot of easy ways to stay on board, and then you also don't have to blitz either, or you can kind of reverse your when Digivolving effects. Your go-to combo, of course, is your level 6 is already suspended, you Digivolve, he unsuspends, blitz. But alternatively, if you're not winning that turn and you want your Omnimon to be a little bit more in defensive state, your level 6 can stay unsuspended, right? Don't attack with it. Evolve into Omnimon. First do the blitz attack, and then do the unsuspend. You reverse the order. He'll still be able to do all the attacks, and Omnimon will be unsuspended, allowing to make sure that they won't be able to swing over it with higher DP if you're worried about that kind of thing. It also, if you have blocker underneath him, that's a way for him to be ready to block next turn. So there is some defensive applications to him that comes up a little less often, but it is interesting tech to be aware of. And then my favorite new Omnimon is Omnimon X. So this can Digivolve on top of a red for 7, or can Digivolve on top of Omnimon for 3. But if there is a X antibody option card and its traits, then it reduces the cost by 2. So preferably it's getting to Omnimon for 1. And this card is really strong against security control matchups. So when Digivolving, you return all your opponent's Digimon with the highest level to the bottom of their deck in any order. So we get around on deletion effects, which is really nice. By placing X antibody or level 6 Digimon card from this Digimon's Digivolution cards to the bottom of your deck, reveal all your opponent's security and trash 1, and then they shuffle it. So that's fantastic. And it's both a when Digivolving and when attacking effect. So we get it when it comes out, and then we get it the following turns as he swings, as long as we got the level 6s underneath him, which, we're preferably have 2. So we'll be able to do this effect, 3 times, best case scenario, which is really strong. Just be able to look at our opponent's security and get rid of the chaotic degradation, get rid of that Alphamon, get rid of that Chikuri, whatever little things in there that are going to be giving us a hard time, we can just get rid of them, which is fantastic. And then because of this combo with the X antibody option card, we can now go for game with 4 memory. If we check for security with WarGreymon and there's 1 security left, oh no, we can't blitz for game, except if he has X antibody underneath it, we can evolve to Omnimon. This will trigger unsuspend, then trigger blitz. He'll attack, trigger X antibody when attacking to Digivolve into Omnimon X. Activate his when Digivolving effect to trash out last security. Omnimon X swings for game. So now we can blitz for game off of only 4 security if we have the full combo. That's really good. But these aren't the only Omnimons in the game, although this is my favorite combo right now. We could run things like the old school Omnimon X for a more defensive combo. So still evolves on top of Omnimon for 3, any Omnimon, so we can even go on top of this one. When attacking, delete a Digimon with DP equal to or less than this Digimon's DP. And then opponent's turn, when an opponent attacks, you may discard 2 sources from this Digimon to prevent that attack. So it's a wonderful defensive card. If we need to stall for a turn and stop your opponent for winning game, we can go into this Omnimon to actually start discarding sources and to stop them from winning for game. This has come up. I've definitely used this card to win some games where I have to stop opponent from winning for game for at least a turn or 2, and Omnimon X will get me that wiggle room. I like to go with Omnimon Mercy mode sometimes too. Digivolve 3 from anything with Omnimon in its name. When Digivolving for each Mega and its traits, you delete any Digimon you want, and then you put 10 cards from your opponent's trash to the bottom of their deck. So Rip, Beelstar, and Security Control builds, and Machine builds too. But basically, we like to use this guide to board wipe, and then for security trash heavy builds, we'll take those cards that they want in their trash, put them in the bottom of the deck. Now they won't be able to play them. It's almost instant game against something like Venusmon. Start of your turn, you can trash this card, so de-Digivolve it basically to trash an opponent's security. So if they don't have a way to remove this Mercy mode, we're trashing a security, hopefully swinging for game right after that. So it's a pretty good combo. And then we can also run Omnimon's Zwart Defeat. This is a pretty popular card. Again, this is good punishment for tamer heavy builds. When checking security, this Digimon plays for free. Otherwise, it can Digivolve on top of our Black War for 3 memory. And when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. Sorry, when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's tamers, preferably one with some Shoutmon sources underneath it. So on a full combo with your Megadramons and your Black Wars, you could be deleting 5 or 6 tamers in one turn if you had enough memory for it, which is sounds ridiculous. Then on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. So it's a nice, good defensive option as well. We could even put blocker on it with the Black Greymon thing. So a lot of cool things you can do with that, but I still think Omnimon to new Omnion X is still my favorite BT10 combo. And then what about support cards? So my go-to tamer is Tai. I love the memory corrector plus the security +1 to our builds there. Since I prefer to play red base and I want to go through as much security as possible, I'll be going for the extra security attack +1. And then my favorite companion tamer to go with that is Nokia, to reduce evolution costs of my Greymons by 1 for each Nokia. Plus, playing her plays a free Agumon, so for a memory cost of 3, I get a memory reducing tamer and I get a searcher to play, hopefully. So nice 6 worth of memory off of just 1 3 memory play. Really good combo to play, especially if it's checked from security and then I'm playing the Agumon on my opponent's turn. Really good. If you don't have the Tai or just looking for something a little different, you could play Marcus. He's still a memory corrector, but whenever a Greymon attacks, suspend this tamer to gain 1 memory. So good way to have some memory control, gain some extra memory. It can be really good with the Black War build too, because of all the extra attacking we're doing. That extra memory might come in handy. Another tamer you could run the Black War build is Maki. So reveal top 3 cards, add a Tapirmon or a dual color black card among them to your hand. So that'll pick up a lot of the Black War pieces. And then when a Digimon would Digivolve into a 2-color Digimon, you can suspend this tamer to reduce the cost by 1. So it's essentially a Nokia, but for all dual color cards. So if you're running things like the Deltamons, the Cyclomons, or the Megadramons, you might opt for the Maki over Nokia, just so you can have more engagement with all dual colors rather than just Greymons. So these will just depend on what is in your buildup. And for option cards, you could of course run the classic Gaia Force, but I find that I like Kongu for black builds. This will stop Chaos Segregation from hitting us and stop some Rookie Rush builds. For 2 cost until the end of your opponent's next turn, opponent's Digimon with play cost 7 or less cannot attack players, and cards can't be added to security stacks by opponent's effects. So yellow can't heal, Chaos Segregation can't bounce your Digimon. It's a nice good stall card. And then Crimson Blaze is my favorite go-to red card. My biggest weakness with red Wargreys is definitely rush decks. Crimson Blaze helps counter things like that. Reduce the memory cost of this from your hand by 1 for each Digimon your opponent has in play, so it's always playing for 5 or less. And delete all your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less, and then your opponent cannot play Digimon by card effects until the end of the next turn. So this will stop your Jagras builds, this will stop Deep Brigade, this will stop Minerva. Anything that plays by a card effect, Crimson Blaze is putting a huge nerf on it. And then the last thing I'll consider is if you want a little bit extra search and memory power, you could toss in some red memory boosts. These are just generically good in all of the builds. Reveal top 4 cards of the deck, add 1 red Digimon card from them to your hand, and then later you can toss it in the trash to gain 2 memory. It's just a good generic card you can put in any red build, and WarGreymon is no exception. Alright, and as promised, this is my build that I ran for the Store Championship BT10 format. Trying to get as much of the deck in the screen as possible, so forgive me for the if it's a little weird. 4 copies of BT9 Koromon, 4 copies of our promo Agumon, 4 copies of BT5 Searcher and Agumon X Searcher. I've decided just to go for 12 rookies. It's either the plus 2,000 DP or just search all the time for my pieces. I've decided to cut out the extra when attacking Agumon just because I just really didn't want to see it. It's either this guy or I just want to be searching for my pieces all the time. I found this to be a lot more consistent with getting my stacks. Security +1 Greymon, running 4 of those because I want to go through all the security in one go, combined with 4 copies of Greymon X so I can put them on top more consistently and get that removal protection in case we gotta go into WarGreymon X. and then just 2 copies of the BT5 Greymon in case we need just a little bit cheaper draw power, or as just a backup in general. 3 copies of EX1 MetalGreymon for the Security +1, and for the piercing, and then 3 copies of MetalGreymon X for the Security +1 plus 3000 DP. This is my preferred go-to combo, one of each, with a Altruist mode in the middle in case I need to either delete something or just to get that inheritable if I'm missing the Greymon X. 4 copies of BT1 WarGreymon, since this is my main boss monster in most builds. I just want to get to him, check 5 security, Omni for game, call it a day. 3 copies of WarGreymon X in case I need to have the extra memory gain or to have a little bit more board control. 2 copies of Omnimon Blitz to hopefully pick up with either of these 2 Searcher Agumons. We'll play Blitz for game. I only need 1 ideally, so we got 2 in here. I'm running 1 of each of the old Omnimon X and the current Omnimon X, just because I only have 1 of the new one. I would probably run 2 of the new one once I get a second copy, but at the moment I'm having a 1 attacking one and a defensive one. 3 copies of Tai as my memory corrector. Once I get one of those out, I'm always guaranteed to be going for game once I have my level 5 and 6 in hand. 2 copies of Nokia to play the Searcher Agus and to have a little bit more memory control in case I don't see the Tai. 2 copies of X Antibody to proc off the Agumon X search and to also get the X Antibody Digimon effects in case I don't have the matching pieces, such as with WarGreymon X. Or even if I do have WarGreymon, then I can swing and evolve when attacking for 1 and start getting some memory as a cheeky combo. And 2 combos of Crimson Blaze to slow down those rush decks while I'm building up and getting my pieces. Ideally, I can be swinging for game about turn 2 or 3, but in case I don't see my pieces immediately, Crimson Blaze can help me stall for some time, especially if hit from security. And that is my BT10 WarGreymon build. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's a little bit of a long video, but I kind of hope it helps you build your WarGreymon decks depending on whether you're running red or black. It's all just generically good, and we all love WarGreymons here. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Digimon content coming up. I got a Blue Flare build and maybe a Twilight build coming up soon, and who knows what else. I'll catch you guys next time.